Okay, so what they've said about the dark forces and what's happening at the moment is that when you're living inside polarity, you don't understand that there
Mhm.
is no right or wrong, dark, light or dark, good and evil. There is only experience. And so from that broader perspective, when they're wanting a environment, a realm, a world such as Earth, such as this 3D environment, to shift, they understand that, for a better word, when you're living in a feathered nest, there's no shift going to happen. Like if you're in a cushy environment, like why would you change? Why would you change how you think? Why would you change what you do with your life? Why would you even think differently when everything's... So they understand that in order to get humans, they're saying humans to shift, they need to create environments that challenge them. Mm. And so
Well,
they're giving me this image of, they've said this before, but a man hanging off a mountain, his challenge, there's like wind and sleet and snow hitting him. And in this contrasting environment where his fingers are freezing and he's trying to scale this mountain, from the depths of his soul, his courage, his ingenuity, he draws on all those things that he has within him to overcome the challenges. Oh, this is the message that they're giving me. And so we understand that this is what we want you to do. We want you as humans to draw on your brilliance, your knowing, your ingenuity, your creativity, your courage. We want you to be more of who you are. And so we use what is called or known as the dark forces for your benefit.
ah,
So when the shift hits the fan, when trauma happens, when contrast happens, finding the words, um, we use that. So yes, there have to be people that are involved in the creation of the drama, like Hitler
yeah.
came to create World War II or to create, the drama. And humans don't understand that the trauma that you experience in physical life can bring out the worst, but can bring out the best. And for the most part, we know that the best will be drawn from humanity. And this is what's happening at this time. Yeah. So yeah, sure. They're using the duck. They were very like, whew, they were very like on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the dark forces totally created it. But then from that
But they're
perspective,
being used kind
they're
of
being used. Yeah. Like I was
to bring
talking...
about what needed to come about in this time.
Exactly. Exactly. If we're just sitting back watching Netflix on our couches, eating ice cream, and we're not challenged in any way, how are we going to know what we can do? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do we know our brilliance and who we are as... But they're not even just saying, um, as much as we want you to know who you are as spiritual beings and draw on your spiritual prowess, your connection to source, your connection to your divinity, your connection to your infinite potential, we also want you to understand who you are as physical beings. What else can you do as physical beings? Like, how can you create, drawing on the who, like
Hmm.
Paul says, I know who I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve. So the who is I am source energy. The what is I'm source energy channeling through a female body, this personality, this
Right.
mindset, this emotions, this creative talent. So drawing on the who that channels through the what can you create in that combination? How can you come up with ideas, creativity? They're saying that human creativity is just so incredible, so delicious, so beautiful. And, we don't want you to sit on a mountain and meditate and go on. We want you to flow that energy that you connect to through your minds, through your creativity, through your artistic talents, through your intellect, and we want you to come, create new ways of being in this world. Like, and it's only through this contrast do you really kind of like get passionate about it. Yeah. Unless you're,
Yeah.
some people are just naturally passionate about it. But this wakes more people up to their career. And so what's happening for a lot of people, especially in the conscious community that are already doing great work with, they're having events, they've got their centers, their yoga centers, their meditation centers. So now you're being challenged to come up with new ways of doing it. And what's happening in Sydney especially, there's like 15 Zoom conferences a day. People doing music and yoga and singing and drumming and talking all on Zoom, just like you were saying. So they're learning the internet. They're learning, they're sharpening up their technical skills. It's so interesting. So as someone who, yeah, as someone who's always um, like ahead of the crowd, like I'm always one step ahead of the crowd. I knew years ago that I needed to know how to use the internet, and I basically spent my 40s learning to use the internet, like, and just was challenged when my mental capacity would go, oh God, I just can't think of any more of this stuff. I'm just like, I've hit the wall. I would just rest and then get back on it and I knew that had to learn how to use it. Like
Yeah, you're pretty savvy. You are very
yeah,
savvy, that's for sure.
I said to my brother, give me a computer. He said, what are you going to do with it? I said, I don't know, but I need to know. It's our future. So what I've seen with a lot of creative people, especially and older people, creative people and older people, they've not bothered. They've just like, they're out there doing their shamanic drumming and their whatever, and they've not bothered to learn the technology. And now that is all changing. So
Yeah.
all these kirtan artists and shamanic, drummers, and they're
Hmm.
all like, how do I use Zoom? What do I do?
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that everyone's being forced to use the technology, and this is for a reason. But what my guides have said to me about technology is they've said, get out there in your physical groups because actually being physically together is so much more powerful than being online. I've asked them why, and they've said it's that combination of energies when you're physically,
Hmm.
and how
Yeah.
it expands. And I said, doesn't that happen on the internet too? And they said, yes, it does, but it's slightly different when you're in physical proximity with each other. Why does it
Yeah.
have to be? I don't know why it has to be, but that's a longer question. So
Yeah.
I posed the question, why is it more powerful? And they're giving me a download. So what they're saying is that we don't ask you to do one or the other. We want you to do both. And what they're doing at the moment is everyone's kind of getting clued into online. So this is what they're saying about the difference. So when you're in a physical proximity with people,
Hmm.
have the opportunity of being tapped into someone's energy field in a closer proximity, even though there's no such thing as time and space. But
Right.
you're just saying you have the ability to like, sort of touch that energy field from this closer proximity. What they're saying about online, which is really fascinating, even though I can still feel your energy, like even though you're all the way over there in America and I'm here, I can still feel you like you're right next to me. What happens online is when you tune into stuff, because when you were talking just then, I was thinking about sometimes I'm online with some people and I totally space out, like, and all my chakras light up, depending on some teachers. And you've heard me sometimes go, oh, I kind of lost my train of thought because I'm so spaced out.
No, I've done that on online groups too.
Yeah, and they said what happens is you tune into your own connection using your connection rather than drawing from the connection somebody else has. So
Ah.
it's a much more empowering, self-empowering way because you're hearing the information and then you're applying the wisdom to who you are. So you're kind of doing it for yourself and you're having that expansion and connection and expansion and connection because you're being deliberate in it. Wow, this is fascinating. I didn't realize this. And then they're saying to me, you teach deliberate creation. This is what you teach. This is what you teach. This is what you teach. As
It is
much as
so much more deliberate. You're right.
yeah, it's like self-empowering. So you can be in the presence of a guru and just bliss out in their energy field, and then you kind of leave their space, and then you can't find that energy anymore, and then you think you need to go back and sit at the foot of the guru to bliss out again. What they're saying that online, you find your connection to that, your own bliss, like you just get, you can, it's
That
more
makes, yes, that makes a lot of
self-empowered.
sense.
It does. Thank
Wow.
you, because
Yes, thank you.
I've just because answered that question, because I've said, now why? Because they've said to me it's powerful being together in physical groups, and I'm like, why is it more powerful? Why is it more powerful? And then they've told me, but then they haven't said what the power is in the online group. So that, yeah, because ultimately we live inside our own little world. There is really nobody else but our own thoughts, our own, we're in our own universe. And so even though you're having interaction, you're still you're still in your own universe. You speak, I think, I speak, you think. You're kind of in your own universe.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, that's really fascinating. Wow.
So it almost, I don't want to use the word force, but it almost causes me to really focus it in on myself.
Totally.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that.
Yeah.
What
Because
an insight.
I,
Because we are going to so much more online right now. And some people are like, oh, I don't think I can do that online. And I'm like, because I've been doing this with you for so long. So some of my friends in the spiritual community, I'm like, can't we do that on Zoom? Can't we put it together? And, oh, I don't think I can. And I'm like, no, you totally can. Because I've been doing it. And now I can give them a reason like, look, when you're teaching these principles and you feel like you have to have the energy of the group, no, what you're doing is you're causing them to draw it in on themselves rather than try and eat it, pick it up from everybody in the group.
what they're showing me is it's like a piano teacher. No. It's like having a teacher that does it for you, and then a teacher that like when you're in the physical, it's like you could be sit at the piano and the teacher says, this is how you play this, right? And then you're right there and you're like, this is how. But when you're online, you're like, you tell someone how to play it and then you have to work it out. So you have to, bringing up that ingenuity again, bringing up that creative presence, just what they were saying before, drawing on your abilities, like drawing on your own abilities, whether you're creating a musical piece, a masterpiece, whether you're connecting to spirit, whether you're channeling spirit, connecting to your guides, like drawing on your own abilities to do it. A guide can guide you, but ultimately it's up to you. So the teacher can't do it for you, like the yoga teacher can't do the exercises so that your body gets better. They can only teach you.
Ooh, it's like, yeah, that's really great. I can go to Sammy to connect and to talk to Andrew and to talk to my guide, but really it's my job. So what this big shift is going to do to us is force us to really learn how to do it and not rely on going to a guru and not
Totally.
rely on, oh, what a cool.
It's so cool because they've said to me the era of the guru is dead, and it's now up to you to, you draw guidance from the guru, but ultimately you have to do it. So many people sit at the foot of the guru or the teacher and they're like, homage to you, you're so great, you're so great. And they understand the wisdom and they go, I can spew out all this stuff and tell you how to live your life and what it is to be spiritual. And then they go out into life and totally don't live it. Scream at the people in traffic and get pissed off with that, and don't forgive their mother and hate their mother-in-law, and
Like Wayne Dyer yelling at his kids where the keys were. If your students could see you now.
Isn't that hilarious? God bless Wayne.
But yes, like, gosh, it's just painting such a perfect picture. It makes so much sense.
So the online thing is forcing you to actually like live it. You have to do it. You have to actually do it. Yeah. Which is really,
Because so many people say, oh, so you're a healer. No, you're healing yourself. You're just using me to heal you.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was something that when I was a healer, funnily enough, when I was in my 30s and I called myself healer, I had all these clients that became friends that I met during that time. And I sort of lost touch with a lot of them, and a lot of them have come back into my life now. So
Uh-huh.
I've got this one friend, I keep bumping into him, who I'm going to actually have on the show. Even though he's not a spiritual teacher as such, he's a businessman. We had breakfast recently, And I'm
Uh-huh.
always on him about, because he's such a galactic god. He's such an amazing person. He's so just bright. He's such a bright person, like not just bright. He just shines like the sun. Anyway, and I've always wanted him to be kind of more of the teacher. And then I had breakfast with him, and
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me how he does it inside his corporate job, like how he just shines. And I thought, yeah, maybe that's my judgment, that we have to put a shingle on the door and say healer teacher. Maybe you can just have your corporate job and sell your stuff, whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're selling, and be this light. And we just fly. The two of us get together and just yak 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 and fly. I remember years ago he was like, how do I get connected to my guides? How do I get connected to my guides? And I was doing with him what I do with you all. And I said, okay, I'm going to get you connected, and then I want you to give me a message. And he goes, okay, okay. And so he got connected, and then he opened his eyes and he said, I'm being told to tell you to go and see that movie, Chocolat.
I
And I'm
love that
like,
movie.
that's what your guide said? And he goes, yep, that's what I'm getting. And I'm like, that's what you're getting. And I thought at the time, oh, that's just you. That's not your guides. And he goes, that's what I'm getting. And I'm like, okay, okay. And he left, and I'm thinking, I've failed. He didn't connect. He's just giving me a message, because everyone was seeing it at the time. It was when it came out, and everyone's saying, have you seen that movie? Have you seen that movie? Isn't it a great movie? Isn't it a great movie? And I'm like, everyone's told me to go see that movie, and that's just him telling me. Anyway, I went and saw the movie. So it's about a healer who cooks, and she has a little girl who's about,
Oh no, I know the movie well, and the daughter's name is Annika.
and well, her name was Anouk or Anik or
Oh,
something similar.
Anouk. That's right,
Anouk.
Anouk. Yeah,
And
I own the movie. I watch it once a year. I love the movie.
okay, well, at the time, Annika was the same age as her daughter. I was catering and healing. The synchronicities in her life and my life were, I was watching this movie going, this is kind of like my life. Although I wasn't cooking chocolate, I was making food in the catering. I was
No, yeah,
working in
yeah.
the movie industry catering, and I had this little daughter that was the same age court, and I'm just like, oh my God, he actually did tap into his guides. And I went back to him and I said, I saw the movie, you were right. It had this profound effect on me going to see that movie. She got Johnny Depp at the end of the movie. I didn't get Johnny Depp.
No, who did you get? Who did you get?
At the time, nobody. I can't remember, because
Oh,
I was like the single mom, like she was the single
yeah,
mom.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know.
The
Traveling
synchronicities
around.
were just, I wasn't traveling, she was traveling, but the synchronicities were uncanny.
Yeah, yeah.
And my guides just had a big old belly laugh. They thought it was hilarious that, that I didn't trust that he actually had tuned in. And it was a really profound message, but it came in such a normal way. Like, go see
Yeah,
this movie that everyone's saying go and see. That's not a message from spirit. Like, it was totally a message from spirit. It's so funny. So funny how it
that
works.
is funny. That is funny. I love that movie. And
Hey
she,
guys, Karen here. Kristen was the only one that turned up today. So we had a lovely time. We chatted, we caught up, we laughed, we gossiped. We had so much fun. And then I brought through a bit of a channeling, which was the beginning of this. And yeah, it was really interesting. I have to go back and listen to what I said. But yeah, I get it, the gist of it. Everyone's talking about the nefarious forces, the dark forces creating the traumas in our world. And my guide said, well, someone has to create them. How do we experience contrast if somebody doesn't create them? So, really interesting. Sorry, I just had some breakfast. I was showing Kristen my drum. I bought a drum. This is my new drum. Isn't she gorgeous? Love it. Anyway, and I just thought I'd say howdy, 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 howdy to you all. And
you're
if you still want to be a part of the Inner Sanctum trial, I'll do them at different times, because I'm going to be online every week from now on in until further notice, while we're going through this shift. I mean, we've been going through the shift for years, but as I like to say, the shift has really hit the fan. And I hope you're all well and, you know, enjoying this transitory time. This is just the beginning. More to come. It's all very well the sickness and the virus and people getting sick and all that sort of thing, but look at what's happening to our monetary structure, to the business sector. it's just wow. It's what with many healers and teachers and spiritual channels and psychics have been talking about. We're in the thick of it, and your love and your wisdom, cats come to say hello. Hello. Your wisdom, your love, and your knowledge and your connection to your own infinite source of well-being and wisdom is going to be needed now more than ever, as so many people are confused and dazed and worried about money and worried about health and worried about death, and oh my God, there's so much worry and fear out there, and you know, as we know, it's coming up to be transmuted. And so people reach out in that time of stress and worry to help them overcome their limiting ideas and stressful thoughts. And this is why you guys are here, to help. So love you all and see you soon. Jeff O'Driscoll's coming up, yay, next week. Not the show, sorry, the Inner Sanctum. You're going to need a cup of tea. I've been saying to Kristen, I'm only surviving on 2, 3, 4 hours sleep a night because I can't sleep at the moment. And I'm not actually tired, but I'm up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning wandering around the house thinking, why can't I sleep? And then up again at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. It's all good. I'm quite energized. It's quite amazing. We're on, kids. We're on. Action, stage left, lights on, camera action. We are on. Light workers of the world, light weavers, difference makers, way showers. The time is now for you to shine. Love you all.